Hi everyone, I'm Russ Hamilton. I'm a retired sergeant with California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation.
Hey there, Tier Talk fans. Russ Hamilton coming at you. Gonna deal with the subject today on supervising millennials. Now, throwing that word out there, I know right off the bat, some of you, especially some of you millennials, gonna be going crazy. Hey, what's the big deal? Let me tell you, I think that probably all things said, all things being equal and stuff, that millennials tend to get a bad rap, a worse rap than they probably deserve. But by the same token, there's also a certain number of those millennials out there that have been coddled and they feel entitled to get things at a quicker point than they should be getting. Whether that's a piece of the weekend, a primo shift, a promotion, a valued, sideline like being on CRT or the honor guard, all of these things. So anyway, there tends to be an outlook out there from the older generation that as this new generation of millennials approaches and comes up through the ranks, that a lot of them just aren't willing to put in the time and effort. So some of that's true, some of it's not. But just getting to the heart of the matter, let's talk about, first of all, us older guys supervising these millennial guys. So what is it that you're doing? Now, I've had plenty of millennials that I supervised that were just great. They came in there, they asked what needed to be done. They charged, everything was great. Well, you know what? That's easy. When you get a guy like that, you fill his head full of knowledge and let him run with it as far as he can or anything. But that's not a measure of you being a good supervisor. It's the harder ones that you need to take, and they're harder to mold. They're harder to make anything out of and stuff. And yet it's exactly those particular individuals that measures how good you are. So what are you to do? I would say that the first thing that you really have to do with those individuals is not sit down with them and read them off a bunch of expectations and stuff, because this may be really the first time in their life where they are in a disciplined, organized setting where the responsibilities are just huge. They're awesome responsibilities. They deal with life and death. So what you need to do with these individuals, what you need to provide to them, is you need to give them a model to follow. You need to be out there with them. You need to be out there training them. You need to be outlining the things that you want them to do, the things that you expect them to do. Take them out there. Show them how to run the unit. Show them how to conduct that mass movement. Show them what to look for with regards to when an incident starts. Show them how to locate contraband. Bring all these things to their attention. Put them in with other individuals you have that you know that you can count on, and tell them to pass on some good knowledge, some good information, some good tactics so that they can progress. Now, some of them are going to fall by the wayside and they're not going to progress. But some of them, they really just need someone to buy them a clue and to, send them a signal. This is the way you need to do it. They need a model to follow. So anyway, having said that, now if you're a millennial out there and stuff, what you really need to be focusing on is learning to take direction and not to expect something before you're ready for it, or before other people that have been at this a lot longer than you have got theirs. I'll tell you, the first time I got a piece of the weekend, I had 12 years in. So, it is what it is. It's a hard job. And there's aspects about it that suck, but you know what? You just gotta suck it up and get in there and keep on going. The harder you drive, the faster those things will come to you at some point. If it's not that important to you, maybe you can look at other avenues to affect those areas of your life. But with regards to the moving up the food chain and getting those promotions and stuff, in this particular video, I've decided that I'm going to identify 5 key points that are going to let you know if you're ready. And let me tell you, on these 5 things, I've set the bar really high. But I'm gonna dole them out to you. And so if you're a millennial and you really want to promote, if you can't say, yes, I can do those things, I have done those things in this list of 5, then you're not ready. And you shouldn't be listening to other people. Yeah, just go ahead and do it. It's okay. You'll learn in the job as you go. Well, you know what? You're going to have other people depending on you, for their lives, for their careers, for their general safety. Like I say, it is an awesome responsibility. So here we go. Number 5, all right? You need to know policy, procedure, penal code, and case law, all right? That is the bedrock of your foundation, to know those things so that you can function in the correctional setting on a day-to-day basis and be able to carry things out in a safe manner. You have to know that policy. You have to know that procedure. You got to know the case law that surrounds those and makes everything all legal. And you've got to know the penal code so that you know when violations are occurring and so that you can deal with things and help your subordinates deal with those things themselves, because that's really who you're responsible for, those people that are under you. So you have to have an absolute bedrock solid knowledge of those things. All right? So number 4, you have to have a complete, thorough, a categorical understanding of use of force. All right? Force is what we do on a day-to-day basis. It's one of those things that it can get you in trouble in a hurry when it doesn't need to get you in trouble. You need to be able to train each and every one of those individuals underneath you to keep them safe physically and to keep them safe professionally. All right? If you can't go out there and do that, if you can't bring a level of knowledge to that, to be able to explain to them, to be able to give them your expectations with regard to use of force, and to be able to show them how to function safely and effectively through the use of force, then you shouldn't be raising your hand and volunteering to climb the chain, to climb the ladder. All right? So that's number 4. Number 3, your report writing has to be rock solid. And by that, what I mean is you have to be able to go into a setting where a critical use of force or a critical incident has occurred, be able to write it, hand yours in, and then be able to go to the next individual who's having trouble writing their report, be able to help them, be able to, say, hey, just hold on a minute, recite that back to me. We need to you should probably make that change here, and just help them along with the process. Years ago, my partner was involved in use of force, and along with another supervisor who is on this page, Robert Ward, in which my partner fired 17 different less than lethal rounds in a period of about 2 to 3 minutes. And then the very last thing that he almost did was he'd expended all of his munitions, and he picked up the mini and he charged it, and an inmate had a chair and was getting ready to bash another inmate, and he gave the word stop and pressure on the trigger, almost had to take that individual's life. Well, by the time I got over there responding and stuff, things had calmed down to the point, but this critical incident was already, so far behind in getting things done, and everyone had already been handcuffed and stuff, but the reports hadn't been written. So I grabbed my partner and I told the supervisor, I think it was Robert Ward, as a matter of fact, I said, look, I'm going to go sit my partner down and I'm going to get him through this, because this is going to be one of the longest, most in-depth reports that I've ever done. And I could do that because I had bothered to mess with my report writing and to get it to where it was rock solid and tight. So if you can't do that, you shouldn't be going up the chain. So number 2, you need to understand group dynamics and group supervision, both at the level of the officers and of the inmates out there. You should be able to take any one of your officers, your fellow millennials maybe even, out there onto the yard and be able to point out what the dynamics of it are in your unit, showing them what things are happening with these groups and how different STGs, gangs, are affecting the overall temperature of your unit. You have to be able to do that. You have to be able to understand what's going on and what the potential dangers are that are coming down the pipe, because there's going to be those things. You're going to run into riots. You're going to run into assaults. You're going to be running into mass contraband being introduced to your yard. You have to understand how it's happening, why it's happening, and you have to be able to do something to interdict it and to be able to change the direction. You got to be able to head off these large-scale incidents if possible. You can't always, but you should have an idea of how to do that. And lastly, to really know if you are ready to take on this responsibility, people should be coming at you after an incident or when there's been tension on the yard. You should be being asked to, meetings. Hey, come and meet with the sergeant, and he's meeting with the lieutenant. Give us your input. If people aren't asking for your input, if people aren't valuing what you have to say about the way things are unfolding on a yard, about how different STGs are carrying themselves, about how, different contraband is appearing, if they're not seeking you out, you haven't done a good enough job of either being proactive and inserting yourself into those situations, or you're just being lazy. So you have to get yourself to that point. So those are the 5 things. Anyway, I hope some of you are taking this to heart. I hope none of you millennials out there hate me after this, because it's really not about that. But anyway, I hope that this particular video will speak to some of those things that let you know, and this is to let anyone know if they're ready to start climbing that food chain or not. So anyway, everyone out there, stay safe, get some. Take care.